Instruction, golf news, equipment, travel, interviews, course profiles, and more. Your weekly fix of all things golf is about to begin. It's the Flagstick Podcast with your hosts, Jeff Potter and Scott McLeod. All right, well, welcome everybody to the Flagstick Podcast. Just adjusting my mic, I'm Jeff Potter. He is Scott McLeod.
Oh, yeah.
Tip of the hat to you, Scott. We'll get into that. Flagstick Podcast is brought to you this week by COBRA Golf and the all-new 3D printed irons featuring fully 3D printed club heads. These irons deliver an unmatched blend of feel, forgiveness, and precision, shaping that goes beyond the limits of traditional forging and casting. Experience the future of iron performance and get fit for COBRA's 3D printed irons today. Visit cobragolf.ca for more information and for the complete lineup of COBRA Golf equipment. Make sure you're following us across all of our social media networks, Instagram, X, TikTok, and Facebook. Subscribe to us on Spotify, Audible, Amazon Music, and Apple Podcasts. And we do encourage you, as always, to subscribe to the YouTube channel, like us, and click the notification bell. Make sure you never miss a single episode. Of course, the Flagstick Academy instruction series will be shooting that maybe next week now. And you'll be able to get all that on the YouTube channel as well. Yeah. This week's show, we're going to, I guess, because of the recent delivery of the print version of the magazine, it kind of brought us back. We have a delivery list, and it's kind of brought us back to some of the courses that we used to deliver magazines to that aren't there anymore. Yeah. And so we're going to talk about what we call ghost courses, courses that essentially are no longer with us. Mm-hmm. And we're also going to do a little preview of the U.S. Women's Open that gets underway this week at Riviera Country Club in LA. And we're also going to talk about Scott's incident on the golf course. For those that don't know, you're going to find out how scary sometimes being on the golf course can be, but accidents do happen. Anyway, let's get to it then. Let's get to the front nine presented by Metcalf Golf Club, a natural setting, a pleasant challenge. It is a great time to get your golf season going. Save some money. Game packages for adults, juniors, and families are always available online. Be sure to check all those out at metcalfgolf.com and stay in touch with your golf savings. All right.
Getting old and still no golf.
Let's not keep things in the dark, and that's not. I don't want to. I don't want to bump around this topic too much.
No.
So why don't you just tell everybody what happened, and then we'll take it from there.
And forgive me if I laugh or cry or whatever, but let's just say I played Sunday morning, and let's start to think about the weirdness or oddity of all this stuff happening on a single day. So I played a round in Sunday morning with our good friend Kenny Thompson, Eric Stevens, and one of the students, Alex Sims. He had a hole in one on number 7, a hole in one on a hole that you've had. But later on the day, I was scheduled to play a tournament on Monday, which we'll get to the results as far as a PGA event. So decided to go out and play an extra 9 with my daughter at a golf course near here that I'm a member at, and hit our balls down the first fairway. Beautiful night out, having a good time. Go down to hit my ball. I was about 90 yards away from the green. And there's a 9th hole that runs parallel to that. And then, as usual on the golf course, you hear people yell 4 and so forth. But usually in that area, you feel like everything's going to be behind you. It's pretty close to the tee, and there's lots of trees and stuff there. But not this time. Unfortunately, the second I heard 4, I felt a massive impact right over my right eye. And took me a second, but then I realized that I had actually been face on struck by a golf ball over my eye. So scary incident, very scary incident. I'm definitely not going to diminish it. Scary as well because, my daughter had to witness it, which wasn't great, wasn't the best situation. I described it personally on my own Facebook or whatever. So if, friends and stuff that, want to read a longer version of it, they can do that there. But obviously, things like ambulance ensued. Felt for my forehead right away, just to make sure it was still there. As funny as that doesn't sound. Somehow, still trying to figure it out. And we were chatting about it. I had a hat on, my glasses. Somehow the ball hit between that and hit me. And you can see there's still a small mark here, just a little bit of swelling there, but pretty grateful for how lucky I got, because an inch either way, it could have been a whole different story. Ended up 5 hours in emergency. And that's the time it takes. There's people I think that were in worse shape than me, but obviously got checked for fractures, went through a whole lot of neurological tests to make sure I was okay. Been on concussion protocol for watch kind of for the last 2 days to make sure I'm okay that way. Physically, I can say I'm okay. Emotionally, a little bit different, and still going to deal with that, I think, for a little while until I get out on the golf course and maybe get the experience of being back out there. As I said to a few people, I'm probably going to be a little flinchy every time I hear someone yell four, or even being back on that fairway again. Yeah, and I think the odd part is, and I described it to my wife, the difficulty is that it's an accident. And the gentleman who hit me, thankfully, was a medical professional. And obviously he felt very bad. And I've communicated a bunch with him and letting him know that, there's nobody at fault here. It's an accident. But it can happen. And people have to realize that, they have to take that seriously, get their hands over their head, whatever, right away, knowing that, I joke a little bit, it's not a joking matter, but, I think I have the right to joke a little bit about it. But the fact that it was a noodle golf ball and hit me in the noodle, so noodle to the noodle, and was quite interesting because the gentleman who hit me was, he was kind of going through a little test with me and just checking my vision and if I cognitively if I could follow, his finger and stuff like that. And one of the things he did was he held up his golf ball, or a golf ball. Obviously it was his, to me. I don't know if it was the one that hit me or not, but he held it up in front of me and he said, "Can you read this golf ball?" And I said, "Yeah, it says noodle long and soft with a T behind it and it's upside down." He's like, "Okay, well that's pretty good. You can I could obviously was, I didn't pass out or anything, and felt like it a little bit soon after, but was okay. But yeah, it's a serious thing, and like I said, it's an accident. But it's certainly a cautionary tale about what could happen. And as I was getting to there, the tough part for me is that, I've been on a golf course for 46 years. I've been hit before. You've been hit before. I was actually on the golf course when you got hit. I was in the watch or the wrist.
Yeah, I was in the wrist.
Yeah.
It hit my watch, broke my watch.
Yeah.
But,
and I've been hit a couple times in the back and stuff like this. But
there's a difference, though. That's like it's hard to understand when you get hit in the butt or in the leg or in the ankle or in the arm. It's different than when you getting hit in the head. Like that's a whole different ball game.
Yeah, especially near an eye, hitting the face, golf ball, a driver from 90 yards away, snap hooked. Obviously, it was going pretty fast. I mean, it was odd that the ambulance people were going, "How fast does a golf ball go?" And I said, "Well, based on this guy's ability and whatever, it might have been going 120 miles an hour by the time it hit me." So,
the TrackMan data would suggest that the ball speed was approximately this.
Exactly. I think the tough part will be, and probably is for other people as well, it's just getting back to it. I mean, I've been on a golf course for 46 years, and it always feels like your safe space, and if all of a sudden it doesn't feel safe, that's kind of an odd spot to be for me emotionally. So yeah, I mean, again, it's just a cautionary tale, and it just proves obviously that things can happen very, very quickly. We don't know how they're going to change, and obviously that changed our plans for the week. I was gonna, we were gonna do some filming and stuff like that, but I'm happy to say thank you to tons of people as far as messages and things like that. I'm grateful for that, but certainly I just wanted to get back to doing things and let them know as well that physically I'm doing okay. So,
well, we certainly are glad that you're doing okay.
Well,
Sorry
thanks.
that this happened, but as you
Yeah,
said, we put ourselves in harm's way a little bit every time we play golf.
we do.
In the sense that there is a possibility that something like this can
Hmm.
happen.
Yeah,
And we accept that risk when we go out to play, but it doesn't diminish how
yeah,
much when it does happen, that it affects us. So
sure.
the hope is that you find your golf clubs in the garage and you head back over with Elsa and you play 9 holes
Yeah.
and get through it and you move on from it. As difficult as it will be, they say when you're teaching your kid to ride a bike, when you fall down and scrape your knee,
Get
you
back
get
up.
back on the bike and you do it
Yeah,
again.
yeah,
So um, that said, it's
yeah.
not always easy to get back on the bike and do
No,
it again, but you got to do it. So
yeah, you gotta do
and
it.
I'm
That's
sure
for
that
sure.
you
So,
will.
oh yeah,
46 years of golfing.
yeah.
I
It's not.
I don't see this being the incident that
No,
makes you put the clubs in the garage for the rest of your
no,
life. So,
no, no.
um,
Yeah, yeah. As I said,
even if I have to
it's.
drive down and play golf with you myself, which is a huge stretch for me to even go to a golf course and play golf right now for
Yeah.
some
What?
stupid reason I don't even
Yeah.
understand why.
What's up with
I
that?
don't understand it. I got out for the first 9 like a month ago
I mean,
and I enjoyed it.
I
I was
played 18 and a
excited.
half holes on Sunday, so
Uh, I was excited to get out and play, and then the cold weather hit, and I kind of pulled back the reins a little bit, and then just circumstances just haven't lent itself to me being able to get out for that, even for 3 or 4 holes across the street. Like
yeah.
it's just been weird, and I just feel I went to had a. I feel like I'm getting old. I'm 55 years old. I don't consider that old by any stretch. I am
No,
not. You say to anybody, I am not old. 55 is
no,
not
not at all,
old.
for sure.
But I feel it sometimes when you get up in the morning and you say goodbye to your wife. Say, I have to head to my rheumatologist appointment. I'm,
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
55. What the hell am I going to a rheumatologist appointment every 6 months for?
Yeah.
But apparently I'm okay.
Well,
Um,
that's good. That's
as
I'm
long
glad
as
to
I
hear
take
that.
my meds.
Yep.
I won't tell you what the meds are for,
No,
but
I'm
I have
not.
to take them. If I get off my meds, things
Uh,
can get crazy. Um, but I'm all good. I'm all good.
good.
And now, on that note, um, some people not showing their age
Oh my.
are some of the pros played at the COBRA PUMA Spring Open that is part of the Flagstick.com PGA of Ottawa Tour. The
Yeah.
Spring Open was played, and the Spring Open is generally it's a Stableford event. Guys really like it, focused on the points, the big
I
number as opposed
I
to
was
the other big number.
so looking forward to it.
And it was held at Casselview this year.
Yep.
And I've seen Casselview a few times prior to this
Hmm.
date, and the course has been in amazing shape. And it was a beautiful day for golf.
Yeah, I heard that from a lot of players who really, waxed on about the green conditions and so forth.
So even though we don't, when we talk Stableford, we talk about points. Dan
Hmm.
McNeely from Rita 42 points to win the main division of the tournament.
Yep.
But this is one of those times where you say, okay, you got 42 points to win, but we're going to talk about the bogey-free 66 that he fired
Mm.
in order
Yeah.
to achieve those 42 points. Now, that all in to be said, the course was playing pretty difficult for these guys. Like it was
Yeah.
not like
Yeah, scoring average was fairly high. So, and
yeah,
and 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 let's remember here, Dan could play in the senior division, but he's
yes.
playing in the main division, and he obviously can play like a main division player.
Nobody
So,
moves the ball like Dan
uh,
McNeely.
dude is timeless as far as how he
Such
hits
a
the ball.
beautiful
So,
golf swing too.
yeah, he is. So I wasn't shocked by this certainly, but as you said, some players struggled. I did talk to a few players that on those great greens, as they said, there were interesting greens, and for some of them that resulted in three putts just because they failed to read them properly.
They're big
Um,
greens. A lot of the newer greens out there are
yeah,
large.
yeah,
They're large greens. And that golf course, I'll tell you right now, I've
strategy.
played it a number of times, and I've played it at
Yeah.
least a couple times in the last year and a half.
Hmm.
And if you don't know, if you're not like that golf course can bite you quickly.
Yeah, yeah.
You
I know
can
I
get into
found
tree
myself.
trouble. You can like
Yeah. I know I found myself on Saturday night. I was doing some prep for obviously hoping to play on Monday, and I probably spent a little bit more time than normal going over and looking at the layout trying to determine, club lines off the tee, club choices, and so
Yeah.
forth. It's just that kind of golf course where, you're just not going to get up there and pound it. And especially in this format where you don't want to go backward. No format do you want to go backwards, but obviously you want to be in a situation that you're not going to make doubles. At worst, you make a bogey, you still get a point out of it. But that means from a strategy standpoint that, maybe you choose a different, club off the tee, or try to decide, am I going to go for that par five or not?
Hmm.
Or if I'm not going to go for the par five, then what's the wise choice as far as off the tee? So, and what I was excited to hear was the number of players that played and hadn't been there before. And
Yeah.
they're like, oh man, that's that's a pretty underrated golf course. They went from, I've never heard of this golf course. And, and these are mostly players that are not in the Ottawa area. Obviously, most of the players in Ottawa would have heard it, but more down this way towards Kingston and so forth. And certainly, they had a newfound respect for it by the time they were done.
Well, I mean, it's relative to Ottawa. Castleview is only about 20 minutes east of Ottawa.
Yeah.
So it's not that big of a drive when you live in
No.
Ottawa. Or you live where I do it, drive fast enough down the 417, it's probably closer than that. But when you're on the other side, like if you're
Sure.
Renfrew and you're down that direction,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Kingston, Brockville, it's
Right.
probably not the first golf course that you think about playing when you come to Ottawa.
Right.
And I'm glad that some of the pros had the chance to play it, because I've known for years that Casselview, the golf course, the layout is very interesting layout. It's always in great shape. They're always doing things to the facility
Yes.
year after year. They're investing
Constantly.
back in the product. And Alex, the superintendent there, he does an amazing job.
Hmm.
And I know the course. I knew the course would be in great shape, and I knew the guys would like it. I just
Yeah.
also knew that those that didn't play a practice round or take a caddy that knew where they were
Yeah.
going, there's a lot of movement in a lot of those
Sure.
holes, and you really
Yeah.
do have to know where you're going
Yeah.
to score well.
Yeah, and the good part is they couldn't fault the golf course,
No,
fault themselves and their own strategy as far as playing the golf course. And I think that was what delighted some of them, was that there was strategy,
yeah,
which tends to be missing some places
and you
these
think so?
days.
I agree with that. There is a lot of strategic thought process that has gone out of golf
Hmm.
courses, and
Yeah.
Castleview has, you know, course management, very
Yeah.
important. On the other side of that, Mark Lacombe beat Graham Gunn in a playoff in the senior division, 34 points. Beat
Yep.
him in a playoff to take that division. And we had one playability test
Yeah. Derek
pass
Pettipaw.
from Rivermeet.
Yep. Derek Pettipaw from Rivermead. I think there was, I'll double check, but I think there were 7 players that attempted their playability, and he got through. So congratulations to him.
Yeah.
He can start his PGA of Canada apprenticeship. For the others, yeah, they're going to have to go back and, check their preparation again and check how they're playing. And, they've got more chances this year. So,
Yeah, it's not. I mean, it's not easy. When
no.
it's one thing to go and tip it up and go and play and
Yeah.
score, and you're like, shooting around a 75 or 78 or
Hmm.
79. That's not that hard.
Sure.
Castleview is a pretty difficult golf course to do that on if you
Yeah.
don't know what you're doing. And secondly, you put yourself under the pressure where you have to play for a number. We talked about this when you
Hmm.
did it, and how
Yeah.
difficult it is when it's not just playing golf and going out and trying to score. You're
Sure.
actually thinking about a number the whole time you're going around, because you
Yeah. And
know what the number is before you even
yeah.
tee off. So,
And it's the weight that you put on it. I mean, Derek would be in a good example. It's somebody who's, been in the industry for a little while and now starting to play in and wants to start his PGA of Canada apprenticeship, which doesn't start until you pass that playability test. So, in essence, your career, hangs on
yeah,
passing that playability test so that you can start all your formal education and
tell
all
me
the
that's not
aspects.
pressure.
Yeah, it is. You are playing for your career. So yeah,
Yeah.
it's but you know what? The next event is the Dynamic Tea Championship that's coming up at Prescott this coming Monday. That's kind of an event that was added last year. Basically, all the players are playing in one division. They're just separated based on their age or gender as far as what tee that they play off of, and they all compete against each other. So that should provide another good test, especially around the greens for these players. And again, there's a number of players that have not played Prescott before, and hopefully they don't underrate what they're going to see.
Okay, Scotty Mac. Do you
Yeah.
want to talk ghost courses now? Do you want to talk U.S. Open, U.S. Women's Open now? Which one do you think we're gonna yammer on about longer?
Well, I don't know. I think the ghost courses might take a little bit longer. So if we want
Okay.
to, if we
Let's
can
just
leave it for the back nine if we
Yeah,
want.
why don't we do that? Why don't we move?
Sure.
We've got probably about a good 10 minutes here. Let's get
Yeah.
into the U.S. Open, U.S. Women's Open preview,
Yeah.
and then we'll get into the ghost course of the back nine. Like you,
Sure.
I feel like we'll probably have a lot more chatter about
I
that.
think so.
Okay, U.S. Women's Open is this week.
Yeah.
It's being played at Riviera Country Club. Obviously,
First
we
time.
know Riviera
Yes.
as the host of the Genesis Invitational.
Yeah.
And we also know that Riviera is going to be the host course that they play for the 2028 Summer
Olympics.
Olympics,
Yeah.
which is not, a couple years away, less than a
Yep.
year away, or less than a
Yep.
couple years away now.
Yep.
This is the first time that the U.S. Women's Open will be hosted at the
Yeah.
Riviera Country Club.
Which I think is great for a
Yeah,
number of reasons. But when you're getting into this and having, again, it's a course that we're familiar with, as you said, which I think is great because now we're seeing it. Lydia Ko was saying it in her preview, media conference, and the fact that they're starting to go to more golf courses that, let's say, they were traditionally played by the men, and as a result of it, they're familiar to a lot of the golf audience, which is kind of great because I think that adds a whole different other aspect. Not only does it create another connection with the fans can see these players against that backdrop,
yeah.
and they know the golf course a little bit from seeing it year after year on TV. And any more reason, not that they shouldn't be watching the 81st US Women's Open and the great players, but if there's any more reason to watch it, that's great. It's just going to bring more eyeballs to it, get that familiarity there, and get to see how it can be played by other players in a different style of play.
It's interesting because when it comes to major championships, we've talked about this before. On the men's side of things, we always talk about, the four majors, the Masters, the U.S. Open, the Open Championship, the PGA, um, and and the Masters and the
Right.
Masters, U.S. Open, and Open Championship are kind of the three that people maybe focus in on the most, and the
Hmm.
PGA is kind of like the fourth one on the
Yeah.
list that is a major. It's not a major, whatever people want to think it is a major,
Sure.
and it played like a major this year. Um, but when it comes to the women's side of things, when it comes to women's professional golf, even for myself, I know that there's other majors,
Hmm.
but I only really gravitate to the U.S. Open and the Open
Yeah.
Championship, and probably
Yeah.
more so to the U.S. Open, U.S. Women's Open than any of the
Yeah.
other ones, just because the other ones, as I'm in the industry, so I know them, but
Hmm.
a lot of people aren't familiar because
No.
they don't have it's not a Masters. There is a women's PGA Championship. I understand that, but it's
Sure, but it
if
moves
if the
around.
men's one is
Yeah.
fourth on the list, what are people thinking about the women's version of the
Yeah,
same
I
thing?
mean, yeah,
It's
they've got five majors, and people may pay attention to Avion because they go back there all the time, but again, it's not sort of iconic.
calling it the
And
Evian Masters does not make it the Masters, though, to most people, right? And
well, the Avion Championship, but I mean, the other side of it is that the former Dinah Shore, which is now the Chevron Championship, people knew it a little bit for Mission Hills, but most of them
yeah,
really knew like 18th hole. That was pretty much it. They couldn't
the
really
jumping
describe
in the
too.
pond thing.
Yeah, but they couldn't really, they knew that par five and people going for it and so forth. And they knew that hole, but it was harder for them to describe they weren't familiar with a lot of other holes.
Yeah,
So this is an opportunity, and it has
100%.
been for the Women's Open, because obviously we look back at things like Pinehurst number two, them playing that golf course.
Yep.
Again, we get to see and we get to understand that. So this is definitely the women's major that I'm looking forward to. Having been on the grounds at Riviera, seeing iconic holes, and we can get to some of the holes here in a minute, but we should know that they're playing at just under 6,700 yards, par 71, and but it's a golf course that's known for the men as being a shot maker's golf course. It's not
Hmm.
one where they just go and overpower it. They have to hit good quality shots. They have to be smart about hitting their approaches. They have to choose the right tee shots. There's strategic holes like number 10, which we'll probably talk about a little bit more because I'm curious as how they're going to play it.
Hmm.
But as a result of it, we know those backgrounds. We know that scene on 18 where they're playing up into that amphitheater behind the clubhouse. And as a result of it, now we see the best women in the world go against that, which, already in just seeing a little bit of the, the practice rounds and the social media related to it, it's really cool to see Nelly Korda, or we'll get to our Canadians in a minute, but, to see a Lydia Ko, to see a, Hannah Green, to see, all these players at Riviera at a iconic golf course where you can go back to, Ben Hogan and Byron Nelson and
Yep.
all these other players playing, Babe Zaharias, playing there or whatever. So, I mean, it's like, so it's cool to have that stage for them now so that the focus can be on them. And what's funny is that as much as a lot of people follow the Memorial, which is on this week, it is the B tournament this week in my
Yeah.
mind by far.
And you know what? Rightfully, it should be.
Oh, of
I
course,
mean,
definitely.
this is not. It's the U.S. Women's Open. It's a national
Correct.
championship. It's
Exactly.
got a lot of history to it.
Yeah.
It should be the top of the list. And especially with it being at Riviera, it is even should even be higher on your list of things to do. I know I will
Agreed.
be glued to the
Yeah.
TV watching it, especially on Saturday and Sunday, and
Hmm.
especially if we get a nice tight field at the nice tight
Yeah.
leaderboard and the
Yeah.
scoring's not too low,
Yeah.
which it shouldn't be
I wouldn't
for
expect
an
it to
open
be.
for a national championship like this. But
Yeah.
um, you mentioned some of the holes in particular. You mentioned
Hmm.
hole 10,
Yeah.
which is a drivable quote, drivable
Yes.
par four.
Yeah. Yeah.
And how will they set this hole up
I
for
am
the
curious.
ladies? Like, I'm
Yeah.
curious to see how they set it up.
Yeah.
Because
I mean,
at 307,
yeah.
it's not necessarily drivable for the majority of the field.
Yeah.
Um, so do they set it up at 307 or do they set it up
Mm.
significantly shorter to really force that? Because the thing is, there's no point in having a drivable par four
If
if
you
the
can't drive
risk
it.
reward factor
Yeah.
isn't there for the majority of the field. If
Right.
it's only there for 10 or 12 people,
Yeah.
then it's not really worth doing it, this kind of hole. So if they put it
Hmm.
up there at like 275,
Right.
or 265 and
Yeah,
make it,
because it plays a little bit downhill. So
and it is a risk reward hole. Like
yeah. It's a very small green, and it really, I guess it really is going to be dependent on hole locations. I mean, if the hole location is on the far right, you're less likely to have players going for it because, the Kikuyu rough is nasty. They get in the
cuckoo.
bunker, they get in the bunkers that are short. It's really hard to stop a ball because, again, there's not a lot of depth to that green. Whereas if it's over on the left side, they're more likely to go for it. There's a little bit more bailout, but not a lot. There's some trees and bushes that are on that left side where it can come into play. But that is going to be the curiosity, is seeing the variance of how players decide to take this on. Because, one, you don't want to just bat an iron off the tee or a small hybrid or whatever,
Hmm.
and then, try to, some will, because they're
Yeah.
going to try to have a full yardage in where they can try to spin the ball and control the ball that way. But others will try to go as far as they can to see if they can use maybe some loft or something like that to stop the ball. So it's a decision between spin and loft of how you're going to stop the golf ball. So that's probably the one I'm going to be most curious about. Chances are we're going to see that a lot in the broadcast.
Yeah.
But again, we'll see as well, what are the green speeds going to be like? What's like, there's a lot of factors that are here. And I think that's going to be that curiosity, and seeing the Nelly Cordas of the world and, the Brooke Hendersons and whatever, and seeing them take it on and how they do it will make me a very interested spectator.
Now, the field and format of this event, obviously, this is a normal, 4 round tournament,
Yeah.
156 players, narrowed down, cut after 36, low 60 in ties.
Yep.
And the qualifying procedure for it is very similar to that of any U.S. Open or USGA Major Championship. There's open qualifying
Yep.
locations. Again, they had close to 1,900.
Yeah.
We'll round it up. We'll say close to 2,000
Yeah.
entries for this year's tournament, and they had to get down to 156. So
Yeah.
with very few like straight exemptions off of
Yeah, top
the
75.
LPGA.
Yeah, top 75 in the world, certain specific events, and so forth. And that's been helpful to a couple in the Canadian contingent. But just like the US Open on the men's side of it, yeah, a lot of the players had to qualify and get their way through. And that's important. And as a result of it, we're going to see some faces that maybe we haven't seen before.
Mm-hmm.
And those again create some cool storylines, just as they do on the men's side. And then, we'll see how tight it is on Sunday and if they end up in a two-hole, aggregate playoff to determine the champion. But I mean, the hard part here was, we haven't had a repeat champion or a player that's defended their title since Kari Webb did it in 2001. So for, Maja Stark, who, won last year at a 25-year-old, I mean, she beat out Nelly Korda and Rio Takeda. I mean, that's going to be hard to do. It's only 7 under last year at Erin Hills. I would expect scoring is probably going to be similar, maybe even higher. When I say
Yeah, I'm
higher,
kind of thinking
I don't
like
mean
four or
10 under,
five
but I'm
under,
thinking,
maybe.
yeah. I wouldn't be surprised to kind of see that. So, that's going to be one of the storylines. Pretty hard to defend. So, but in most cases, it's going to be a high quality, high caliber player that's going to be in the mix. And as I mentioned, we've got 4 Canadians in the mix. Brooke Henderson's playing her 14th. She's got her cousin Ryan Henderson back on the bag. He came on at the Mizzou Hose. She decided to put a family member back in the bag. And I remember when he was playing OBGA junior events. That's pretty funny to think of. But
Mm-hmm.
and then Anna Huang, who's just on a heater right now. She's up to number 53 in the world. She's only 17. She's won 3 events in the last 8 months on the Ladies European Tour. So there's high expectations for her. And then, of course, Aphrodite Dang, who won the U.S. Junior Girls last year. And then Lauren Kim, who's been a standout at University of Texas to watch. So that's definitely a narrative a lot of people will be interested in.
Well, let me tell you something, Brooke. I know you listen to the podcast. You're an avid listener. I understand that. I've got the clear bill of health from the rheumatologist. As long
Okay.
as I'm on my meds,
All
I'm
right.
physically good to
On
go.
my
So
meds.
whenever you need when you're looking for that very light, very talkative, fun caddy, I'm your guy.
All right.
Just give me the call. I'm pretty
Okay.
sure I'm very easy to reach,
Okay.
and I'm happy to carry around that big golf bag for 72 holes and get you a W.
All right. I like it.
If nothing else, I will stress the heck out of everybody you're playing with to the point where nobody can play well,
There you
except
go.
you.
That's a
So
pretty good solution. As somebody who's
I think
supposed
it's
to
a great
caddy this
solution.
coming weekend, I think that's a good strategy. So,
Exactly. Now, before we get out, big stakes, obviously 10-year
yeah, for sure.
exemption
Yeah.
into the U.S. Women's Open and a 5-year
Hmm.
exemption into all of the major championships on the LPGA.
Yeah.
And that's huge. And
Yeah.
it's a massive purse, too.
Massive purse. Yeah. It
So you're
was 12 million
talking,
last year.
yeah,
We
like
don't know
two
what
and a
it is
half
for this
mil
year,
to
but
win.
yeah, exactly.
Whew,
Yeah.
big
That's,
payday, big exemptions, big stakes. I'm tuning in. I
yeah.
guarantee I'm tuning in.
Yeah. We have lots to talk about next week, I'm sure.
Exactly. All right. Let's get out of here. And when we
Hmm.
come back from the break, we are going to talk about ghost courses.
Yes, sir.
Air quotes for those listening.
Yeah.
Ghost courses. Should be an interesting conversation as we do tend to see a lot of golf courses over the course of a summer,
Yeah.
especially when doing delivery of the magazine. And it was sad to not see some familiar ones. So
You
we're going
got
to
it.
talk about that. You are listening to and watching the Flagstick Podcast with Jeff Botter and Scott McLeod. We'll be right back.
The future isn't forged, it's printed. We've combined 3D printing and state-of-the-art engineering to revolutionize how golf clubs are made. Our internal lattice saves an incredible amount of weight and moves it where it matters most. Irons with unmatched feel, forgiveness, and precision, all engineered into a compact player's shape. Performance only possible with 3D printing. Only possible with Cobra Golf.
All right. Welcome back to the Flagstick Podcast. I think in the last episode of the podcast, we talked about we talked at length about
Yeah.
the delivery of the recent relaunch of the print edition of Flagstick magazine, which By the way, thank you to everybody for all of the messages and all of the emails and all of the phone calls and all the texts and for congratulating us on the relaunch and how excited you are that we brought it back, and to all the people that have been picking it up. I have been to a few golf courses since the delivery that are now out of them. So that's a good sign that it actually is wanted. So we will be back again in July. That said, over the course of delivery, obviously we're delivering to probably close to every golf course in Eastern Ontario and the immediate Outaouais, Gatineau region.
And my first one was
parts
Falcon
of Central
Ridge.
Ontario. What's that?
And my first one was Falcon Ridge.
That's right. That's right.
Who's presenting our back nine?
Oh, right. Yeah. Sorry, my bad. This is the back nine. Thank you for that, Scott. Nicely done. All right. The back nine is
cognitively, I'm
Falcon
okay.
Ridge Golf Club. 27 holes of fun and challenging golf at Great Rates Falcon Ridge Golf Club. It's a golfing experience you do not want to miss, just like getting this in before the back nine starts. Don't forget, Falcon Ridge built the first TrackMan range facility in Eastern Ontario. TrackMan range is all about exciting, easy-to-use features that provide the ultimate range experience for every golfer at every level. Practice games and virtual golf. To book your tee times or to book one of the 10 TrackMan range bays, visit falconridgegolf.ca. Now, we will get into the back nine discussion. That said, during the course of the delivery, obviously, we didn't deliver to some courses that 5 years ago, even 6 years ago, were there. And it kind of spurred on this topic or this idea about talking about ghost courses, which essentially are courses that are no longer with us for one reason or another. And we thought we'd mention some of them, talk about why they might not be with us, and talk about, just the fact that they're, maybe some things missing from today's golf course lineup that we don't have anymore. So,
and these are the modern ones. I mean, if we go back to the start of golf in historically, we could add a ton more to this list, and people should understand and realize, and I think a lot of people don't sometimes when they talk about golf courses, that there is a natural ebb and flow of golf courses existing and closing their business like any other. In most cases, especially in large urban areas, that land becomes more valuable for other things and for other businesses, and they close and they sometimes get moved to other areas. And again, there's other reasons why they close as well. So, it's not that we're up in arms about it, but we should also know, and that this discussion is more about the modern ones and not, the golf courses. Because, if we look at oldest clubs in the area or whatever, some had multiple locations, right?
Yeah.
So, so there are those that exist and are gone, and, we may drive by those areas where they are, and people don't really, maybe like a McKellar Park, people don't realize when they're in the, that Carlingwood area or whatever, that there used to be a golf course right there. There was a city golf course, but, we've had lots of content and stuff about that over the years, and those are golf courses that are gone many, many years ago. But this is more the modern ones, kind of, since the time of Flagstick starting in 96, that we've seen come and go.
Now, here's it. Okay, so let's try to break this up a little bit as best we can.
Yeah.
So let's kind of talk about, while every golf course on this list was in existence when I started the magazine in 1996. They were all around. They were all part of the delivery process of the magazine from 1996 through until whenever they happened to close.
Yeah.
I want to talk about some specifically on this list that I might be a little sadder are gone than others. Not that I'm not sad that any of these are closed, so I don't twist my words. I'm sad that any golf course closes, but a lot of these closed for their own reasons.
Sure.
So I'm less sad that they're gone than ones that I might have had the opportunity to play, or and one of the ones that tops that list for me, and there's a number of them on here, is Glen Lawrence. Glen Lawrence was the, I'm going to be honest, straight up, Glen Lawrence was the first golf course that I played in the Kingston area.
Oh,
so when
cool.
I moved to Kingston, the very first golf course that I ever played was Brockville Highlands, and that's on my list as well. But because this list is in front of me,
is this your fault? On every golf course,
I don't know.
Close? Well, there's another one on here.
There is another one. There's actually a few. That fall on this. But Glen Lawrence was just one of those golf courses that it was long, it was hard, it was up and down and like just a
Great
beautiful
land.
piece of property for a golf course. Now, maybe not the best layout of that could have been done on that property if, you know, it had been designed by, you know, McBroom or Michael Strantz or
Sure.
whatever point.
Yeah, but Dick Green did not a bad job.
Yeah,
So.
yeah, it was just such a really nice golf course to play.
Yeah.
And a great family that owned it, and like just
Yeah.
so many good things about it. Was really sad when it eventually did close.
I gave the very last golf lesson there on October 12th, 2018.
Crazy.
How's that? It's etched into my brain. But yeah, it's certainly a golf course that, you know, because it was somewhat close to downtown as far as Kingston, or at least accessible, you know, a lot of people did get to play. There was obviously a strong contingent of members. And, you know, there's a lot of people that talk fondly about it because they have a lot of social memories. But, you know, people respected the layout as far as a challenging golf course, an interesting golf course.
Yeah.
You know, and as a result of it's gone. And again, you know, owners made a decision to sell it and sell the property, and it's not a golf course anymore. And you know, it's unfortunate and it's out of the market as far as the, you know, the Kingston area, but it's definitely missed by many still.
The other one on this list that screams at me is Bell Park Fairways. Another one down in Kingston. This was my home course when I started to play golf. Now, when I first played golf, first golf course I ever played was Brockville Highland. I lived in Brockville, but I didn't. That was the only round of golf I played when I lived in Brockville. I played once, and then never played again. Kingston, I was a member at Bell Park. I was 17 when I really started
municipal
playing
golf course. We should say.
Municipal golf course, 9-holer, built on a dump.
Built on reclaimed land,
literally
a dump. Land that wasn't even a land. Actually, if you go back and look at it back in the day, the island was out there, and then they basically filled all the area in going out to the island. But eventually, that created some problems as far as you know, offshoots with, you know, runoff and things like that. But I worked there. You know, so
you built the fourth green.
Yeah, you know, we fondly talk about this golf course because, you know, I drive by it all the time. And you know, the sign was up till a couple of years ago, so it is definitely a ghost course, and one that haunts me. I've walked out there, you know, had my only hole-in-one out there. But again, it was the hard part with a golf course like that, and, you know, we'll get into some other, there's a couple other, at least one other municipal golf course that's on this list, is, you know, when you lose that's a core to the golf industry. It's an incubator golf course. And, you know, it's for people that maybe from an affordability standpoint, it's juniors, it's seniors. It provides a gateway to other places. And it may not have been the best golf course in the world, but that's not really the point. The point is it gave access for people to be able to play. And, you know, again, it was a shame that it was gone. It was understandable eventually when you looked at it of why it was gone. But also, you know, there's municipal plans that were supposed to bring back some golf elements, and they've yet to be acted upon for a number of different reasons. But
for sure,
again,
the priority is not there, I don't think, right now for golf. Which sad. I mean, Bell Park, there's lots of memories I have of Bell Park, you know, given that it's basically the place that I really started playing golf. I have a lot of really, really good rounds of golf on that golf course. And, you know, it's sad that it's not there, but it isn't. Another one that comes to mind, obviously, is Brockville Highland.
Yes.
And a lot, there's so many things about Brockville Highland that make me sad that it's not there. Number one, it was the very first golf course I ever played. Number two, the family is just the Dunn family, just an amazing family, and they kept it exactly that way for its entire existence. It never became anything more than what they intended for it to be. From a conditioning standpoint, you know, the long-standing charity tournament that was run there that we attended many years in a row.
The chuck wagons you could get in the clubhouse and throw in the microwave, and you're right.
So many good memories of that golf course. My hometown, you know, essentially that's where I grew up. Just so many good things. Sad that it's closed, but totally understand the reason behind it and everything. But And to
it's one of
drive
those
by it on the highway and not see.
Yeah, I was
That's the
about to
hard
say
part,
that.
because you see it all grown over. But
Yes.
when you've played it for as long
Yeah.
as we've played it and know it
Yeah.
for as long as you've known it,
Yeah.
it's impossible not to see
Yeah.
the golf course every time
Right.
you drive by, regardless of how long the grass is.
Yeah. Yeah. And, I think that's, what this sort of resonated with me in talking about ghost golf courses. I can remember the first few times that I was ever out on a golf course that had grown in before. And to me, that felt sad. And, whether it was justified for the reason to close or not, that's not up to me to decide. But it's just kind of sad to see that transformation of what used to be a fairway, and then, people enjoying it in certain ways. And all of a sudden it's grown in, returned back to nature. But, as you said, you can go by and you still picture the holes, and you still think of the tee shots, and you still think of the memories of playing it. And I think that's what happens for a lot of people. And, we have golf courses here that are going a little bit more current as far as when they closed. And I think that's what people start to lose out on, is they lose out on those memories of playing it. And I know when we've talked or had stories over the years about golf courses that have closed, that's what I hear from people is they bring back their memories of going there as a kid, or playing with family members or friends, or, where they met their spouses. And I think it's just, golf becomes a fabric of, their people's lives, and it is a big part of it. And, it's not just physically the golf course itself.
I was very fortunate that my lasting memory of Brockville Highland, fortunately, was that I got a chance to play it just after it closed. I had a chance with a special exemption from the owners, pulled the Flagstick card, and didn't really need to, but and had a chance to take Brandon, my youngest son at the time, like quite a bit younger then, but had a chance for him to play the golf course.
Yeah.
The very first golf course I ever played, have him the opportunity to play it and experience it, because it was a really, really awesome little golf course. Like, it's just so much about it that had so much character to it. It was so natural.
But it's such a full circle moment, though, because you had talked about it a lot, and he got a chance to play it and enjoy and experience it, and not just be what you talked about. It became a physical memory for him. So again, that's why it's important. So that's
what other golf courses on this list, Scott? That we have a list of those that are we made a list. What other golf courses on this list did you want to talk about? And
I mean, there's a lot that's here. I think ones like, Capital Golf Center, which was on NCC land, but it was a par 3 golf course. Again, those golf courses become important because they're starter golf courses, right? It's where the beginners get to play. Yeah, it's exactly it. And I think that's a hard thing, because no knock on, current golf courses and things like that. But if golf courses are busy and they have a lot of experienced players on it, it's a lot harder for the beginning golfer to kind of get out or not be intimidated there, right? And if a facility is known as sort of that starter golf course where people get out and play, then they have that opportunity to grow as a golfer. And if it's kind of like swimming. If you just all of a sudden throw somebody in the deep end, it's not a great experience, right? So, if some of these golf courses, if they're a local golf course, a community golf course, maybe it's a Donnybrook, in Smith Falls, or a Carlbeck when it was, I mean, those are local places where families and friends, you can go out, non-intimidating environment. Westbrook was that way, and another
Murray Hills was that way
Kingston,
too.
Murray Hills, Lindway Hills that Chuck Galloway just retired and decided to close. Those are the fun ones that you could just go, and and it's not knocking the places like Kanata that obviously have closed, and housing has taken its place. But I think it's the starter properties, or the remote properties, the community golf courses that are probably felt kind of more than anything, because if all of a sudden you're in a community and you lose your little local golf course, the kids are not riding their bikes 50 kilometers down the highway to go play something else, right?
No, that's the thing. And I mean, if a golf course like Poplar Grove, which is another one that's just down the road from me. Now when one door closes, another one opens, obviously. So in the case of Poplar Grove closing, all of the people that golf there, now the door
Correct.
swings open for
Yes.
Metcalf Golf Course
Sure.
to pick up
Yep.
a few more members,
Yeah.
to pick up a few more green fees, maybe a tournament here or there for Falcon Ridge or Anderson Links to also pick up some business. And that's good for their business. And
Yeah, that's positive.
so nothing
right?
on that.
Sure.
But Poplar Grove would have been one of those starter golf courses. Conditioning was not the greatest on most days, but they had 36 holes there. The course was not overpowering. In fact, I think they had more than 36 holes there, but it was that starter golf course, that where anybody could play it, and you didn't have to worry about necessarily what you were wearing and that kind of stuff. So
Yeah, I think one of the weird things is from a dynamic standpoint. I mean, we talked about it. We did a story in 2000 on a century of golf in the region. It was that, it took 100 years to get the first 100 golf courses, and then it was like 10 years to get the next 60. So there was definitely a boom that happened, whether the courses that, so maybe from a business standpoint, some were going to close. Were they always the right one? Well, you can't really say whether they're right or the wrong one. As you said, an opportunity is created in an area for another business to kind of fill that gap, and that's perfectly natural. That's the way it happens. I just think, again, we can look back and just say, these ones provided certain memories for people, right? So
100%.
As you said, Poplar, same thing. I mean, we just had an article on Lee Tamburano in our print issue, and that was one of the golf courses that he used to go and play after he worked as a security guard. He would play there in Metcalf, and so again, you get those memories, and Kanata, which just closed recently or whatever. I know, our own, Joe McLean, that obviously was affiliated with Flagstick for a long while. He had long memories going back to the original Kanata Golf Club.
The 9 holes when it was Kanata Lakes.
Exactly. So, and there's lots of other people that have that sort of memories, and you can go back and look at the people that are working in the golf industry that have ties to these particular facilities. So I think that's part of it as well, is that, it's not just the golfers, it's the people who started their careers at a lot of these places. And
well, I mean, Kingston Par 3 golf course is another one that now
that's
Kingston
one of the first ones I played.
Now I think isn't Taylor Chevol's.
No. It's all housing. It's all housing where it is. So yeah,
but I remember my younger brother
sure.
Sean. I think his first part-time job, or one of his first part-time jobs, he used to work at Kingston Par 3.
There you go.
And I think there's a driving range there too.
Yeah, I think they had a range early on, and then that closed up. And I remember playing it when I first came to Kingston as the Par 3. A gentleman named George Worthington opened it, and I still find some historical stuff around it. And it was basically a field. Let's not kid ourselves. Greens. Yeah, there wasn't a lot of architecture or anything to it, but again, it served a purpose for what it was. And again, eventually over time, whether it's from an age standpoint, business interests, offers from a real estate standpoint, there's lots of that transition that happens. So, those chapters do change, but it does become very interesting when you all of a sudden drive around. And yes, for us, we're used to stopping at the certain golf courses and, they're not there, be it a Nationview, that there's one that, you're expecting that certain area and it's gone. And look, there's more that can go on this list. And the other thing I mentioned to you before we, started the back nine was, off air, it was just like driving ranges, which again are ones that change even more.
You're going down a rabbit hole with this, this particular topic.
Yeah,
honestly.
Because because most of those ranges were, a few acres, and that people sometimes would put them on land that they sort of held the land for a while and then they sold it off. So we could probably find 100 driving ranges that have opened and closed over that time. And again, people will have similar fondness to it. Maybe they don't have the same social aspect of being a member or seeing other golfers or stuff there, but they're going to have some sort of golf related memories of going to those facilities. But I think the weird part is that, we have so many new golfers now, and you mentioned a particular golf course to them that's only like 10 years, gone 10 years, and they're like, never heard of it. And you're like, oh wow. But and
I wonder how many people would know some of the golf courses on this list that we've mentioned. Like, I mean, if you're in Kingston, chances are Glen Lawrence.
Sure.
Chances are Bell Park, just because it's still in that whole area is still in the news. So it's hopefully less than it has been. Kingston Par 3, there's probably a lot of people that didn't know that a golf course ever existed in there, because all that's ever been is houses and commercial
for a lot of those people,
for a long time. Embrun Golf Club. I wonder how many people. I wonder how many people, other than people that actually live in Embrun or Casselview, actually know that there was a golf course and a driving range there.
Yeah.
Like,
well, here's a funny one. I saw a post, and this is within the industry as well. I saw a post by someone related to the Bay of Quinte Golf Club, which was founded in 1921. But I also saw the mention in the post, oh, we're Belleville's first golf course. I was like, not so fast. Actually, if you look on the other side of town, and you'll see that there's a whole bunch of roads on the other side of town that have golf terms that are named for it, because there used to be a golf course that was there before that one existed. So again, it's I don't expect everybody to kind of dig into
that
history
goes
to
to
know
this.
everything.
That goes to your point here that 10 years from now, 15 years from now,
yes,
people will. You might mention a golf course and say, "I had no idea there was ever a golf course there." Like,
and it's hard.
Linway Hills. I mean, Linway Hills.
It'll be back to be farmland, and people will, they won't even know that there was a golf course there. And I mean, I know when, Joe and I were doing research one time on a golf course called Puna Alley, which was in the Smith Falls area. Again, we had to go back and really dig deep to find out where this actual golf course was, because, you got to remember, even back then, golf courses were even more transient than they are now, because they were much simpler than what's there now. There's bigger infrastructure now, so it's not as easy for it to go away. But I mean, even if you ask the average person in Ottawa, and they're down in the Sandy Hill region and walking around by, one of the parks down there by the river, they probably have no idea that was the original Ottawa Golf Club. It just becomes forgotten, right? So
what about the one up in, it's not on the list here. Maybe it's still in existence and I didn't even know it.
Indian River?
What's that?
Indian River? That was
that's up in
Pembroke area.
Pembroke area. No, there's that one. There's the one. It's one near near Blue Heron Golf Club. Remember the one we used to go? You had to go down
Glen?
one side of the river. Was that Dalhousie Glen?
Yeah, Dalhousie Glen.
Okay, so that is on this list. I couldn't remember the name of it, because I used to drive down one side of the river doing delivery, and then you'd go loop all the way around and come back up
Sylvan
the other
Lake
side to do Blue Heron.
Yeah, out past Sylvan Lake. I think Sylvan Lake, whatever. McDonald's Corners. That's
McDonald's
what it was.
Corners. Yes, that's boom. See, now it's all coming back. But
I'm sure if we sat here and thought about this, we'd go back through it. And that was a difficult.
And the golf course on Fort Henry.
Yeah, that was difficult for me to go back to the original Kingston Golf Club. That goes back historically or whatever. But yeah, when you go back and through, I mean, if you end up with a list here, I bet you if you consider Eastern Ontario, Outaouais, let's say there's 150 golf courses now, there's probably 300 more that existed over history, or variations of the same club over the years. So it's an interesting aspect of the history of it. And I think, when you do publish an article like we did years ago on McKellar Park, and then you all of a sudden have people going, oh yeah, you know what? We used to dig up golf balls in our yard, and I had no idea we were right on a golf course. And that's sort of the interesting part of it, is that people don't realize that heritage is there from a golf perspective, and it's literally surrounds them and it's around them. They just don't know it wasn't there.
I'm sure you've seen this too, but I follow a lot of different things on social media. I see a lot of things on social media now about people having purchased abandoned golf courses and now trying to revive them, and then basically posting the process of reviving these golf courses, and it's interesting. I don't recognize any of the golf courses on these posts, but they're not from around here by any means.
No, I see a lot in the US, because there were so many golf courses in the US, and people are acquiring them, and they're also using the fact that they can do content related to social media to help drive the the revenue as well. That's sort of part of it. And so yeah, I mean, whether it's a right business decision or not, that's hard to say. It really depends on the area. There could be a reason that they're not in business.
Sometimes.
So it's hard to really say. But I will say this. So there will definitely be some communities, especially with the rise of golf right now. I don't think we're going to see. While we don't see the golf courses opening at the rate that we once were, we know that obviously I mentioned Bay of Quinte, and they just opened their new North course, last Friday. I don't expect that we'll see a lot more open, but we're also seeing a change in ownership and some different models and stuff. Another one that's in Belleville, the 9 Belleville, which used to be Bayview, they just took over Hunters Creek out in Cloyne area. So now it's called 9 North. So there is life for some of these golf courses. But I think it's a shame when all of a sudden there are going to be some communities where the golf courses have disappeared, where at some point, whether there's a greater population in that area or a greater demand or an entrepreneur or somebody that has land, that they will probably spawn other golf courses. And, hopefully those are ones that are really for those beginning golfers. Because again, I think that's the aspect that seems to be missing kind of at that point is maybe the pitch and putts and short courses and stuff like that.
I'd like to see more of that stuff. And you know what? Less expensive to build, less land required to build them. So hopefully maybe we see a little bit of that start to creep up around here. I know we have, obviously we have White Sands as a par 3 golf course. It's probably, gosh, would that be the only...
Mare Blue is out there in Orleans. They got a short course there. I mean, there's not a lot of par 3 golf courses.
Interestingly, 2 of them are in Orleans.
Yeah,
not too far away from one another either. Yeah, Mare Blue is kind of a fun little one to play. Needs a tad bit better conditioning, but
but I think there's potential for some of those if the right model is there. Again, it's not an easy business, and I don't think everybody's going to jump into these, without a lot of thought because of the cost. It's a high entry to get into it.
Of course,
but that evolution, I think. Overall, I think that evolution is interesting to note. And I think for a lot of people, if they don't really know the heritage of the area, I mean, that's the other thing. I've had people go, oh, hey, that place should have a golf course. I'm like, they did. You know what I mean? So that's happened a few times.
Would you believe
right?
They had 2?
Yeah, it's exactly it. So, and you know what? You only know what you know. And we're at a certain age, we're going to remember something that maybe somebody that's younger is not going to be familiar with. So I can't fault them for that.
No.
I would just say, what, there is a rich golf history in this region, and it's worth exploring if you have an interest.
Exactly. I agree 100%. Did you want to buy some land and build a golf course?
No, I'm good. Thanks.
No, I'm good too. Shows you where we stand on that whole process.
Yeah.
We'll certainly be happy to cover the opening of your new golf course, whoever happens to build one, but we are not building our own.
No, I admire any one that is industrious and want to be in that business, but at this point in my life, no, I don't think so.
Exactly. All right. Great back nine topic. Like it.
Yeah.
Hopefully everybody else enjoyed it too.
I think there's some more threads that we can pull from that in the future. So
I like pulling threads.
There you go.
All right. We will leave it there, and we will leave this podcast there as well. Scott, thank you for, number one, sharing your story of what happened. And I am sure you will recover quite well from all of this, and we will be golfing very soon. You will be golfing probably before me.
Well, I hope not, but I hope so. How's that?
Yeah, sounds good. All right, and thank you obviously to our sponsors, Metcalf Golf Club, Falcon Ridge Golf Club, and our presenting sponsor this week, Cobra Golf. And the all-new 3D printed irons featuring fully 3D printed club heads. These irons deliver an unmatched blend of feel, forgiveness, and precision shaping that goes far beyond the limits of traditional forging and casting. Experience the future of iron performance and get fit for Cobra's 3D printed irons today. Visit cobragolf.ca for more information. Of course, we do hope that you've enjoyed hearing, listening, or watching what we're doing here today. Be sure to follow us across all of our social media networks, Instagram, X, TikTok, and Facebook. Subscribe to us on Audible, Amazon Music, Spotify, and Apple Podcasts. Don't forget our YouTube channel. Like us, click the notification bell. Make sure that you never miss a single episode. And get over to flagstick.com. And more amazing golf content is delivered there every single day. Subscribe to the Flagstick Digest newsletter, delivered to your inbox 3 times a week, totally free of charge, and it keeps you informed. So why wouldn't you want to subscribe? As always, though, we appreciate you tuning in. But until next week, I'm Jeff Botter.
I'm Scott McLeod.
Always remember, go for the stick.